So we got some really great stuff in April, from stylized puzzle shooters to the creeping dread of pools, but now it's time to talk about some of the new games dropping in May. Now this is not a comprehensive list by any stretch, rather these are just some of the games that I either personally found interesting, or they're objectively heavy hitters that should probably be on your release radar. And generally I outline these in chronological order, so let's go ahead and start with one that actually came out just yesterday on May 7th, Heading Out. Heading Out is a stylized roguelike visual novel that has you running from the law and is inspired by classic 70s road flicks. And apparently the driving isn't a novelty, but rather every individual choice you make impacts things like fuel consumption, what radio hosts say about you as you make your escape, your car's condition, and wanted level. Personally, I'm pretty excited to look into this one, not just because I love the monochromatic look with pops of color, but it also looks like it's going to try to emulate the feel of movies like Baby Driver or Drive, and that seems pretty exciting. Plus, summer is ramping up, and I'd say one of the most American things you can do is taking a summer road trip, so this feels like a natural fit for the Steam Deck, assuming the performance is up to snuff. Next up, we've got V-Rising 1.0, leaving early access and releasing proper, well, today on May 8th. V-Rising is an action role-playing game where you're a vampire, but crucially, it really aims to nail the vampire experience with things like a day and night cycle, impacts to your character based on their proximity to sunlight or garlic, and it asks you to consider the quality of blood you consume from NPCs. Beyond that, you also get to build a castle that acts as your home base, and honestly, everything about this appeals to me, particularly since it's also launching with a Castlevania DLC, which is an obvious crossover opportunity. Now, I did play this one briefly earlier on in early access, but like Valheim, it didn't quite feel right to me in handheld mode, but since I did rebuild my gaming rig over the past several months and this has had much longer to bake and be improved, I'll definitely be checking it out again, probably later tonight after I'm done editing this video. Moving on from top-down ARPG to 2D puzzle platforming, we've got Braid Anniversary Edition dropping on May 16th. Braid is notable as one of the earliest indie games to really push forward a wave of great indie titles that would follow from the late 2000s and early 2010s, and as such it probably deserves to be honored with an anniversary edition of this scale. If you're unfamiliar, Braid is a puzzle platformer that's heavy on time manipulation and features a dreamy watercolor style. It's both challenging and relaxing, and there have been a wide range of improvements in this updated version, including better pixel density, enhanced animation for things like background brushstrokes, and a ton of behind-the-scenes commentary from creator Jonathan Blow. It was a great game when it first came out, and it definitely still holds up today, and if you jump on it before May 14th, you can actually snatch this up for 50% off at $9.99, which is a solid price for an indie classic. Speaking of classics and also releasing on the 14th, next up we've got a reimagining of a classic with the Rogue Prince of Persia. A side-scrolling roguelike, this is developed by Evil Empire, who you might know from their work on Dead Cells. You'll play as an unnamed character known only as the Prince, and engage in all manner of 2D parkour along with a healthy dose of melee and ranged combat. And all of this plays out against what looks to be gorgeous procedurally generated levels that seem to fall somewhere between Hades and Ali Ali World in terms of its presentation. Even though I can get pretty fatigued by the roguelike and roguelite genres, this one just looks so completely polished already that there's a good chance I'm going to crack and pick this up on day one. My history with Prince of Persia has been spotty at best, but this is an interpretation I think I can get behind, and I can't wait to see how it does, particularly in light of the success of The Lost Crown. Moving on to a game that I have much more experience with is one that is finally making its PC debut. We've got Ghost of Tsushima Director's Cut releasing on May 16th. And I have to say, I'm way tempted to grab this game again, if for no other reason than just to try it out on an ultra-wide display. If you've not played this 2020 banger yet, Ghost is an action-adventure title from Sucker Punch where you'll be in control of Jin Sakai, a samurai trying to protect his homeland during the first Mongol invasion of Japan. Along the way, you'll explore on foot or horseback, and cut down hordes of enemies either through brute force by rushing into enemy encampments, or silently stealthing around and dispatching your foes quietly. It provides a lot of flexibility, and it's got a great sense of progression as well as you continue to liberate different portions of the map. So if you've held out this long for a PC release, you absolutely owe it to yourself to check this one out. In terms of how to nail the fundamentals of an engaging open world, I put Ghost of Tsushima right up there with the Spider-Man games. It doesn't break any exceptionally new ground, but everything it puts out there is extremely well constructed, and I don't think I've ever talked to somebody who didn't have a great time with this game. Moving on, and also releasing on May 16th, we've got the delightfully weird looking Lorelei and the Laser Eyes. From Annapurna Interactive, Lorelei has you playing as a woman summoned by an eccentric man to take part in a mysterious project in a hotel in Central Europe. In short order, you'll be bombarded with a variety of increasingly dangerous and surreal illusions and puzzles that you'll have to work through. Initially, it all sounds pretty vague, but honestly, anytime I hear about a game being published by Annapurna, my ears are going to perk up a little bit, considering they're basically the A24 of the video game world. Based on the gameplay shown so far, I'm guessing this is going to land firmly in the walking simulator with puzzles mold, and I'm completely fine with that. And if you too are a fan of surrealist experiential games that really want to do something different, this one is probably worth keeping an eye on. Speaking of surrealist games, this next one is also a little bit weird, and I completely adore the original, and it's personally one of my most anticipated games for 2024, and that would be Senua's Saga, Hellblade 2, coming out on May 21st. In this follow-up to the original, Senua's combat capabilities have been improved, visual fidelity has been ramped up considerably, and players will get to dive even deeper into Senua's mental state to continue her story after the events of the original Hellblade. I won't say too much here in case you didn't play the original, but suffice it to say I highly recommend you play that before jumping into this one, and if you do, then wear a good pair of headphones because the audio design is a standout feature of the original, and I'm sure they'll only build on it in its successor. Personally, as a Game Pass subscriber, I will likely end up playing this on Xbox instead of PC, but wherever you play it, I'm sure it's going to be a memorable experience. The original played pretty well on the Steam Deck, but considering this is a noticeable step up in visual fidelity, we'll just have to wait and see how well it's going to do on the deck when it drops in a few weeks. Next up, we've got Multiversus dropping on May 28th. If you're not familiar, Multiversus is a Smash Bros-like platform fighter where your goal is to knock your opponent beyond the stage's boundary by way of dealing sufficient damage. You can play 1v1 or free-for-all, but the game focuses on battling in teams of 2 characters, and there are a wide range of iconic WB options like Batman, Superman, Shaggy, Jake the Dog, and more. Now this one's probably not for me since this isn't my favorite genre, but if you like these sorts of fighters, it might be worth looking into, particularly since the reviews seem to be largely positive based on the beta and early access experience from last year. And even though I'm lukewarm on titles like these, it might be worth it just to see Shaggy go Super Saiyan, which is objectively kind of hilarious, but yeah, probably some good lightweight arcadey fun here if that's your thing. But if you're looking for something that's darker and more complex, you might check out Skald Against the Black Priory coming out on May 30th. If you're a Baldur's Gate 3 fan with a love for a way retro aesthetic, Skald is probably going to hit all the right notes for you. It's a retro-style, party-based RPG set in a dark fantasy world, and I have to say that 80s style reveal trailer is definitely effective at conveying the tone they're going for. I doubt that I'll pick this up on day one, but I will certainly be keeping an eye on how it develops, and also trying out the demo, which is available right now, to see if any of the gameplay resonates with me. Visually, I can already tell you I love what's on display here, but I do want to spend some time actually playing it and slaying Lovecraftian horrors before I jump into a full-price purchase. And finally, if you love the idea of fantasy creatures being smashed together with an arcadey football experience, then Mutant League Football 2 releases the next day on May 31st. And I'll be honest with you, I barely understand football, or really most sports for that matter. Unless they're within the realm of arcadey nonsense, and Mutant Football League is full of that. I played the original on the Nintendo Switch a few years back, and if you're the type of person who would reach for a copy of NBA Jam Tournament Edition over NBA 2K, then you'll probably have a great time with this one. It's a violent, absurdist take on football that draws heavy inspiration from Mutant League Football from 1993 on the Genesis. With 7-on-7 play, you can play conventionally, or indulge in dirty tricks like bribing the referee, plus there are stage hazards to deal with, and well, yeah, it's hardly a serious sports game, but I always find more arcadey takes on sports games to be the best ones. So if you're in the same camp, at least check out the demo for the original Mutant Football League, which is available right now if you want to get a taste of what to expect. Alright, and that's it. Again, not a comprehensive list of everything coming out, so if I missed anything notable that you're looking forward to, please do let me know in the comments below, as I do read all of those, and your suggestions are completely precious to me. Coming up next on the channel, I do have some emulation stuff in the pipeline, and also some Steam Deck customization videos in development, so be looking for those either later this week or early next week, depending on how complicated everything gets. So, as always, thank you so much for your time, have an amazing day, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.